part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and welcome to Season 3 of Podcast 616, the podcast that has everyone asking me, are you still doing that? Today, we are diving into a little Disney Plus treat, a little animated treat for you animated freaks out there. And you, Ethan and Cassie August, if you're listening. This is the Season 2 of the Disney Plus series, What If?, a.k.a. the Captain Carter Backdoor Pilot. Joining me today are two returnees. None of them are new to this. They've been here before. My first guest for her third time on the pod. They are a writer, host, producer, person in Comedy Land, and they have a show coming up this week on January 20th. It's called The Nonfiction Show. That'll be at the Ledge Theater. What time is that show at?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. in Los Angeles.
That's the best time. That's the best time.
That's
I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we did it, but it's a 7 p.m. on a Saturday. Everybody can come see this show.
Wow.
And from those commands, please welcome to your ears, Katie Visser. Yeah.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me back. I have lots of things to say today.
Please. I was saying before we recorded, Katie, this is probably the most and like dense superhero stuff I've ever made you watch.
I will say, since by way of introduction to me, since it's my third time on the pod, this was the first time, Damon, where I went, might be punching above my weight class here. This is the one.
Because even I was like, wait, I'm lost. I had to hit Wikipedia a few times for some of these episodes, but we'll get to that. My second guess.
A couple episodes in, I was like, what have I done? What have I done?
Yes. We'll keep it fun. My second guest, second time on the podcast, but not the first time I've talked about cartoons with him. Oh my gosh, this second guest, what are they? They are a creator, but also a destroyer, a lover and a fighter of all things light. You can stream their podcast, Certified Cinephiles, starting in January 2024 at some point in time. Please welcome to your ears the mustachioed William Woods.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am so delighted to talk about this.
Oh, we're delighted to have you, William. Listeners, you don't know this, but William and I both have mustaches right now, and I think we're doing okay. I don't think there's any contention.
Yeah, yours is definitely better than mine, but I can try. And that's
I can try too, and I'm feeling left out. I should try to part of the group.
And Katie, you were meant to feel left out.
Oh, excellent.
All right, let's dig into What If Season 2. It's a very fun series. We talked about it in Season 1, the Season 1 version in our Season 1 of Podcast 616. I was happy to return to this because I geek out for that kind of like, just that question of like, what if this one thing was different and everything changed? I'm a huge fan of parallel universes, real ones out there. If anyone remembers the TV show Sliders, starring Jerry O'Connell, I love this. No, and that's
what
that's
the
normal.
heck?
That's normal. Everyone,
I have never heard of that show at all.
It's okay. It was a show. It was on Fox for 3 seasons and the Sci-Fi Channel for 2 seasons, and it's how I know and love Jerry O'Connell. But anyway, that show dealt with going to parallel Earths where things were slightly different, and this series reminds me a lot of that. And also, it just is so satisfying as someone who watches all these movies and seeing like the little nuances that could change full trajectories for characters. But blah, 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 blah. Those are my thoughts.
Sliders? It's called Sliders?
It's called Sliders. It's from the 90s. It's streaming on Peacock right now.
Like tiny hamburgers? I was thinking like...
Yeah, I'm imagining like a Good Burger situation.
Me too.
You know, if you can imagine, there was a world not too long ago where we didn't have tiny hamburgers on plates, and Sliders was up for grabs as a name.
Wow.
I'm also imagining them like surfing into like different universes. Like that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, they would. Okay, I guess we're here. They would open up wormholes. Jerry O'Connell invented a device that could open up wormholes, and they could jump into them and slide into parallel universes. But then they lost their way home, and they just kept sliding, trying to find the Earth that was their home.
Wow, that does sound fun. I'm imagining it's kind of like when the Grinch goes into the trash in the Grinch Who Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey, and it's kind of like a whirlwind slide, like a long McDonald's play place slide.
That is exactly what it's like. And sometimes they did slide into trash. So you're on both counts.
Wow.
Neither here nor there. Let's go to Katie Visser. How are you doing with What If season 2? Did you watch season 1?
I skimmed it like a book. I skimmed it.
Smart.
But no, I did. My instructions were to focus on season 2, which is what I did because it was about all I could take. This was very dense for me as somebody who just basically every time Damon brings up a Marvel project to me that I'm like, oh, I'll watch that, and I watch it, and every single time I do, I go, why don't I watch more of these things? Which I think I've said on this podcast every time, and because they're always, each one of them is always individually entertaining to me, like in its own right, without like having to have all the lore in your head and all the knowledge and the history. This time, though, I was like, might have needed a lot of background for this.
Some lore would be needed, yes.
Yes. Which I had some in my head, but it's very, very spotty. But I basically like in the first, and I've been calling them all by names made up by me. Which
please tell me, please.
For episode 1 was the Blue Lady. That's what I was calling her, the Blue Lady.
Blue Lady.
And I made a note of this because I want to tell you this. I kept thinking they were calling her cornetto, which is a tiny croissant in French bakeries, which wasn't. And cornetto is a tiny little croissant in French bakeries, and that was a fact that I picked up watching a holiday favorite called Something from Tiffany's with Zoe Deutsch this holiday season, where she talks a lot about cornettos. And the whole episode, I was like, Kate, you're not watching this. You're in Marvel Land. Try to pay attention. She's not called cornetto. I still don't know what she is called. But that's what you need to know about me as a Marvel person.
That Blue Lady is, of course, Nebula, voiced by Karen Gillan, Scottish actress, about
that
town.
Was Karen Gillan the whole time?
The whole time.
Wow. Okay.
Which is also the crazy thing about What If. It's like I'm always fascinated who came back and who didn't. I did not think Kate Blanchett would be voicing in What If, and yet she did.
Yeah, they had a lot of megawatt celebrities in this. Yes.
Yeah.
Really. William Woods, a little bit more, I would assume, in tune with Marvel. How was season 2 for you of What If?
So season 2, I just thought they were like, there was a lot of moments where I was like, wait, has the industry, like, has Disney actually won the fight to have AI write stuff? Because so much of the show, I was like, this is dog shit. I can't believe it. I can't believe they're getting away with this. And I was like, I thought, is this for kids? Like, am I watching like a Bluey version of What If? Like, is this, because some of this stuff was so dumbed down, and I was like, they could have done a lot better by a lot of characters, including Peggy and Captain Carter. And so for the most part, I enjoyed it. I loved it for the fact that it's like this silly little thing. But I did feel like What If season 1 was all about, yes, it's playing around with these weird ideas, but then they all connect. And then season 2 was a lot more of like disjointed, but then it all connects somehow at the very last little bit. And I was like, are you rotten little bastards? So some of it's me being jealous that there's writers out there that have this amazing job to write such a thing. So of course I'm jaded, watching this with like, what? Like you can't. I mean, we're going to get more into it, but like Captain Carter's obsession with frickin' Captain America, I'm like, come on. Everybody watching the show, probably the majority of the population watching the show thinks that Captain America is probably a bad guy at this point. If you really think about it, like, yes, he fought off the Nazis, but like all the other shit that he's had to do since he was resurrected in the 70s. Yeah, it's just hard to get on board.
Whoa.
I know.
There is steam fuming from William's ears. we gotta, I'm just gonna say, just if it helps, this is just MCU. This is just the movies. In we don't have confirmation that Captain America did anything in the 70s based upon the movies. He just went into some ice in the
Nobody
40s,
does. The
woke
people
up in
that say
2012.
anything are already dead. You hear me? The people that have already said things, they already got bullets in their heads or cyanide pills.
No. Damn. Okay. And that's the energy we're coming into this new year with. I want to take this episode by episode. But I would well, actually, I would agree with what you said, William, that like I think I counted only 4 episodes really connected out of all 9. And then there's just like math. There's just 5 like hangnails of episodes where it's like, I guess that's a cool idea. Um, and also it's wild how every episode is only 33 minutes, but it felt a lot longer in its own way. Did you experience that as well?
Yeah, I feel like it felt long. It was they were very packed 30 minutes, but then also it just felt like for a few of the episodes, it felt like, yeah, I think we already did this one. Like it felt like,
Yeah. So
totally.
Starting in on episode 1, Miss Nebula, Blue Lady, as she will here to be referred to as. I appreciated how much this felt like Blade Runner.
Yes. Oh
So,
my God. Yes.
you know,
The tech noir of this, the cyberpunk. It was totally Blade Runner, Damon. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. Katie Visser, in your own words, can you summarize what happens in episode 1?
no. I definitely cannot. There are episodes I can summarize in this, but episode 1, no, is the short answer, because I got scared when I was like, oh my God, there's so much I need to know. I got really like, that's my short answer.
I think they do a good job of explaining stuff because what are they saying? This came about because, oh my gosh, Ronan killed Thanos and betrayed Nebula. And then she got picked up by the Nova Corps. We all know that was Glenn Close, right? The head Nova Corps woman.
Are you serious?
I don't know if that was the voice actress.
No idea. That's amazing.
But that was the character from the movie. It was Glenn Close. Multi-Academy Award loser, Glenn Close. William Woods, any thoughts or feelings about this Nebula Blade Runner situation?
Yeah, I liked it a lot where they were like, let's close. The episode was all about closing the planet down because they're just going to get absolutely wiped out by the main bad guy from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Forget whatever his name is.
Ronan.
And so they're like, lock it down, but then crime's running rampant and they're like, we got to fix this situation. And yeah, I loved I'm not a big fan of underwater things when people have to hold their breath for a super long time, because I just feel like I can't help myself. I'm going to start holding my breath.
Yeah.
So that scene was really stressful for me. I was like,
wait.
That is dangerous for you.
Yeah. So when you watch people underwater, it makes you hold your breath?
Yeah. If I'm not like paying attention to myself, and in this episode, I will say I liked this one. I got kind of lost in it because it was beautiful. And I feel like you're taking a character that for the most part has gotten a lot of like side attention, and you're giving her, like Nebula, blue lady, you're giving her a lot of this main attention. I was like, oh, and she's badass, and she can whistle that arrow around. Yeah. Yeah. And I did what's the term in writing? Is it I always want to say deus ex machina, where
That's a term.
Okay, yeah. And so they had all this bad shit happen, and then it was like, guess what? I already planned for this. And then and then she wins. But I actually enjoyed it in that one.
Yeah, it was very good. And yes, oh my gosh, the animation, I would say across the board, I'm like looking at all the episode titles. That was the most intriguing thing to me, was just like the various ways. I don't know, specifically in like when it was Captain Carter and the Black Widow were teaming up and there was like a bunch of smoke around them. I just was like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, also Howard the Duck?
Howard the Duck.
Oh my God. Howard the freaking Duck?
We buried the duck. Yes. I
love that horny little duck. He's amazing.
And also voiced by Seth Green.
What?
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
I had like a cheat sheet. I had like study aids up while I was watching it and like looking at all this cast, and this cast is ridiculous. It's like everybody's in this.
Oh my
Did you
gosh.
feel like Charlie from It's Always Sunny with like the smoking a cigarette and just like pointing all the connections?
Totally.
This yarning on a corkboard.
Wall with ribbons. Yeah. And
Yeah.
You were doing some detective work of your own.
Well, speaking of an amazing cast, the second episode, like the amazing cast continues. I call this episode 1980s Avengers. Katie Visser, can you explain to us this episode?
First thing I wrote down in my notes, 1980s in New York. Now you are speaking my language. Thank you. I got so excited. It was just like a flyover of people in their cars in New York City. And I was like, yes, thank you. So now we didn't stay there very long. So that was disappointing. But I really liked this episode. I love it was just kind of, it was very heartfelt and like kind of, warm and cozy feelings. Teenagers dancing down a hall to Corey Hart's classic Never Surrender made me very happy. Love it. I know it's wild. Love it.
I had no idea. I
love it.
Wow.
I just want to set a precedent right now that for the remainder of our time together, everything that I love about this is going to come out of left field. I feel like, because it's not the standard Marvel things that I love. Fair. So I like this episode. So basically you have Peter, the little kid turned villain, who doesn't want to be a villain, and
he's misunderstood,
which we've seen that story a lot. But I really like the villain that's the type of villain that's misunderstood and like actually wants to be a good guy. He just wants to get to Missouri. That's all.
That's all.
Which I'm like, I don't fully understand why you'd want to get to it, but that's fine.
I was gonna say no one's ever said that in their life, but misunderstood, controlled by his evil father, Kurt Russell.
Yes. And which, oh my God, what a bastard. Hate his father. But, and if I'm still supposed to be summarizing this, he does get adopted by a human family, which is nice.
Yeah, but sadly it's Michael Douglas. So, what's the real devoted listeners to the podcast know that if there's one thing I hate, it's Michael Douglas.
Kaminsky method.
Michael, can we boot William out of the call? I don't.
Have you seen the Kaminsky? Is it Kaminsky method?
Yeah, Kaminsky method.
Yeah.
No, I haven't, because Michael Douglas is on it, and I hate Michael Douglas.
We all have one that we won't watch their stuff. We all have one.
Jesse Eisenberg for me. Absolutely can't stand him. Makes me want to throw up in my mouth.
That's sad. I like him.
Can you imagine how I felt when I was watching What If and this voice showed up on my ears, in my ears? Come on, Hope. Your mom's missing. Let's adopt Peter Quill. I can't stand that man. Anyway, I thought this episode was nice. Like it was. This was cool.
That was a really good impression, Damon. That was like, for someone you hate, you have that locked down.
Know thy enemy. I thought this was cool just to think about who were the active heroes at the time in the 80s. So you got your Ant-Man, you got your Goliath, voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, which this is like the first time we've seen him in action, because he just casually mentioned in Ant-Man 2 that he could go big. T'Challa's dad, the Black Panther, Winter Soldier, because he's always around. Thor, because he's always around. And then, I don't know, y'all, Annette Bening as, I guess we're going to say, Marvel, the original Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense, because I was like, why is... Okay, so you have this whole like time thing, and then there's just Captain Marvel in there, and you're like, I'm like, are they just pulling this? Was there something I missed in season 1 that this somehow works? Like,
well, she was there because she's the one who trained Carol, or like that's how Brie Larson got the powers, because like Annette Bening was like secretly an alien, that had infiltrated Earth. Why not?
Why not? What if?
Why not? What if? All right. And ho ho ho, this series also came out during the Christmas time. You like these transitions? So Happy Hogan Saves Christmas. Honestly, this one was one of my faves. I started with this one. I watched this one first because I started watching this on Christmas Eve.
There you go. Yeah.
I did too. I started with it first as well as a Christmassy way into the series. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Once again, checking in with Katie Visser, the official expert on What If. Can you summarize
Oh my God.
this one? This one I think was pretty straightforward. Nothing too.
I can summarize it by saying this was Die Hard, which I
Yes.
feel like it was great. This was Die Hard, and it's very fun. And this was a vehicle for Kat Dennings to be sassy. That's basically what this episode was. She just gets to be sassy. They just they cut to her, and she just says a sassy thing, and that's that.
God, that is so true. That is like so
I was like,
true.
you're not moving this story forward at all, are you, Kat? But we're glad you're here making those sassy comments.
And
getting that Marvel money.
What is Kat Dennings up to? Yeah, it did feel like, hey, better get on the phone here.
Yeah. I did. Oh, also another fun, another Katieism for this episode. I was terrified the whole time. I was gonna call this guy Army Hammer at some point.
That's a different villain.
That's a different villain for different reasons. Yes. But yes, I would describe this one as the Die Hard one, if we're summarizing them.
Absolutely. But I do want to check in with William Woods on this one as well. I agree. It is fully Die Hard, and I appreciate that. William, talk to me about the return of Justin Hammer, played by, Sam Rockwell, and getting to see.
I felt like they could have, if you're going to be pulling, I guess they're going for Die Hard, right? And it felt pretty immediate. And so they're like, okay, well, we should keep things pretty close to Iron Man, relativity to like who could be, Professor Snape or whatever. And Alan Rickman.
Okay.
And
We'll just say his name. Don't evoke Snape.
Professor Snape, And so he works. And I was so happy that they gave Happy his like shine in the spotlight. But are you telling me that if you just get some of the Hulk's blood and you put it in your blood, then you become a Hulk, and you could be whatever color, you can like get a different color too?
I mean, I do believe
because they could have been doing this to all the Avengers. Why not give the Avengers a little bit of that? Hey, give them all of it. That's so the entire time I'm watching this, I'm like, why just him? Why not give it to everybody else? Like, share it, Let's have some fun.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to push up my glasses at you, but I do believe in She-Hulk attorney at law. Literally, this is how she became She-Hulk. She got into a car accident with Bruce Banner. Some blood got mixed, and she turned to a green lady, and they're cousins. So maybe that's why it was the same color scheme. But I think that's all you need to do.
Wow. And I know that his skin is like impenetrable as the Hulk, so getting that blood, is very difficult. But
yeah,
gosh,
golly, but a fun romp with a Purple Hulk with Happy Hogan. Great for Jon Favreau. My gosh, we're like so deep into this podcast. I haven't even mentioned the Watcher, Jeffrey Wright. We'll get to him towards the back end, but he's also around.
Yes.
Last one I want to talk about before we take a break. This is the one that really lost me. I don't know if it was the animation that was off. I just praised it, but like the race car one with Iron Man.
Jeff Goldblum. Oh my god!
I was like, that has to be Jeff Goldblum. I did, even before I looked it up, I was like, there's no way that's not Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yes, returning
this was
from
me. The entire episode was just holding my eyes open because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall asleep.
Oh no. You're not a fan of the Crash Team Racing Super Mario Kart energy?
I love that, but honestly, I'm so sick of Tony Stark, and I'm sick of it. It's the same thing with Jesse Eisenberg. He's got to say something all the time. He's got to be
He's the wisecracker one.
Exactly.
Oh my god! But he won't stop.
This episode was the funniest one. Not that it's funny. I want to be very clear. It's not that it's a funny show. It's that this one had jokes. It had lots of jokes in it where it would be like, they were dad jokes, basically. They were like total dad jokes all the time.
Yeah.
I agree.
Was this the one where the guy, this is me again, the rocks guy, the guy that is a pile of rocks.
Porg, but honestly, either way.
joke about everybody being sent to a farm upstate, which I thought was funny, but funny in a dad joke kind of way. They're all dad jokes, and I think in the whole series, actually.
I had a great time with here. And William, while I do agree that Tony Stark always has something to say, I'm not going to complain until I don't laugh at anything he says. When I find it unfunny, then I'll join your little crusade to murder him. But until the laughs stop, I'm good.
Keeps it lively. I'm like, oh, zing, zing, zing. Here we go. I was not sleepy during this episode.
But I'm so happy to hear it that you both like it, because it's giving me a different perspective. But yeah, when I watched it, I was just like, oh, here we go again. I could already predict exactly where this episode's going to go in my sleep. And it's just like, I've just felt like I've watched it before, but I don't know where.
I will say it was the most disjointed script, I think, of all of them, because it was the beginning made it seem like it was going to be more about Gamora, because it was like Gamora's story, Green Lady, for those who
Green Lady
identify their aliens in color categories.
Beautiful Green Lady.
Okay, here we go. Beautiful Green Lady, but she didn't really come in until like towards the back end.
Because she was the champion, right?
Was
Am
she
I
the
remembering
champion?
this correctly?
I thought
she was a champion.
Well, she was there to get Tony Stark because like Thanos wanted him. I thought the champion was that big, scaly, spiky creature, or was I wrong?
Oh, see,
I found out that creature was his champion. Jeff Goldblum yells out at one point that that's his champion. The big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go. See, this was me the entire time.
Listeners, William Woods is once again lifting his eyebrows.
I'm holding my eyes open.
Wow. Never thought I'd see such a sight. But, hey, I was happy to see the Grandmaster returning from Thor Ragnarok. Fun times, but also a little sloppy. And again, this episode had nothing to do with, like, I don't think anything from this episode got called back or was referred to in the back half of the season.
Right.
Yeah.
We
might have seen some things at the very, very, very end amongst evil old Doctor Strange's crud, but yeah, I don't even know.
I don't know. Call me a comedian, but I like a callback. All right. So that was an episode that had nothing to do with the back half of the season. And also what won't have anything to do with the back half of this episode is the break. So we're going to take a break right now. And when we come back to Podcast 616, we'll talk about the back half of What If Season 2, where I think everything, except for one, even that one, everything ties together. So it's a more cohesive story from this here on to the end. But you're going to have to wait till after this break. Keep it right here. We will be right back.
Part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Chase Smith here from the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break NBA Podcast.
And I'm JD, host of the Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. And we are super excited to bring you a brand new show starting next Tuesday, the Fanfare Podcast.
The Fanfare Podcast is all about your favorite movies and our favorite movies and the best moments in cinema. To help guide our discussion, each episode will feature one classic, and we will grade this movie using a report card-like scale A through F. We're going to be grading categories like acting, directing, cinematography, the score, and even the movie poster itself.
And we're not featuring a movie report card. We'll be sharing our movie rankings, franchise deep dives, actor and director interviews, and everything in between. Movies have been a major part of our lives, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you.
Our premiere episode will drop Tuesday, June 27th, and JD and I will be reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark in preparation of the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, the 5th installment of the franchise.
Join us on the Fanfare Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us and then listen in.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. Welcome back to Podcast 616, everybody. Katie Visser, I can't help but notice that there is a huge Captain Carter poster behind you. So can you tell us what are your feelings about Captain Carter meeting her?
This is the exact type of woman I need to stay away from. Can I just say?
Yep.
This is trouble city for me. I wrote down where have you been all my life, and then got so pissed off at her like 2 minutes later.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think she's an interesting. It was a fun. Her story was a fun through line for me through all of this. That took because I was like, God, I need one. Like, I'm
Please.
But she's just the type of always gotta be the hero. Just gotta be that hero. Gotta have everybody know you're that hero. Gotta be. Oh, I'm so put out that I'm the hero, but you love it, Peggy. You love it.
Love it. She absolutely loves it. And then William Woods, I can't help but notice there's an anti-Captain Carter poster behind you. This is very interesting. Very interesting to have you both on today. William Woods, what are your feelings for Captain Carter?
She's so badass. Why is she hung up on frickin' Steve? What is it about? I'm like, I'm sorry.
He's so tiny.
There's just, you have so much to offer. And what, you don't strike me as the type, okay, you're willing to take these risks and you have all of this ambition and you have like all of this like incredible sense of self and confidence and everything. And you're stuck on this motherfucker. Like, I'm so sorry, but to cuss, but I'm just like, this is my problem with the through line of this season when I was like, why are they forcing this in? Why are they forcing this like weird, like love story, I guess, where it was just like, what are we talking about? Who cares about freaking Captain America's Steve ass when we got Captain Carter?
Well, the listeners should know that Damon's raising his hand right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Katie, for calling on me. My counterpoint to what you said, William, when has it not been about those two? When has it not? Like, it's either him pining after her or it's her pining after him. Like, whoever gets the powers pines after the person who doesn't. It's just, it's.
But in a what if? In a what if?
Even in what if?
And I mean, God, there's just better chemistry in this season. I mean, let's be real here. There's better
I would
chemistry.
Say Captain Carter and Black Widow, I'm like, what am I supposed to be feeling? Because I feel like I'm seeing these two seem. I think Black Widow was pretty disappointed when Captain Carter kept bringing up Steve Rogers. So
that's what I'm saying. And then all the other Black Widows, like, they've been trained on Captain Carter. Like, I'm just saying that there's like, it's just there's better out there, and I don't want her to be limiting herself. But you have a good point, Damon. Yeah, this is how the story goes, blah, blah, blah. But it's the what if. It's the what if. But what about Captain Carter and Happy Hogan? You know what I mean? What about those two?
I know. Well, it's the thing. Oh my
or
God,
Howard the Duck.
Or I would have loved Captain Carter and Howard the Duck, but I think it's like this inevitability thing that they're putting in there, like how Doctor Strange in no universe can ever be with Christine. It's I think what they're trying to do is like Peggy and Steve are always going to find their way to each other in any universe, which could be romantic, but also,
well, then up the
fruitless.
ante a bit. Make it a little bit more like something that the viewers want. Am I right, Katie? Katie, am I right here?
Katie, is he right?
Yes, he's right. Well, and it just like I was like, all of these people have, so many people in the series have lost a love, and they all like to talk about it. They'd like to talk about it a lot.
They do.
And I was seeing that they correlated to like, okay, you had to sacrifice the love of your life for your, basically what comes down to like, yes, for humanity, but also for your career, kind of. And I feel like they did that, like so many people did that, where like, so I would be hypersensitive about it. I would be so aware of that in the future, like if I were them, like if you wink at a Starbucks barista, that girl's gonna be dead the exact moment you have your career like success in the end, like, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel like they all are like, well, you have to sacrifice. And actually, well, this is skipping way ahead, but
please.
When Peggy is talking to Strange in the end about Christine, I know all these names. Look at me.
Check it out.
When they're talking about Christine.
Christine.
Yeah. They're both talking about like, well, you know, you had to, like, we couldn't have happiness. We had to sacrifice for like the greater good, whatever. And that became a formula to me. I was like, okay, but we've seen that love story a lot of times now. And I love what you were saying, William, about how this is what if they just changed that story up completely. And I was kind of waiting for somebody to be like, you know what? Yeah, I loved you, but I really got to go over here and do this thing. And I'm not sorry. I really want
to. And y'all, it sounds like what you're trying to describe is a mature love story and relationship, which if you want that, don't come to Marvel. Marvel does not understand adult mature relationships. It's either like we're meant to be together but we can't, or we're not meant to be together but we're always going to try. Something that did none of that.
That's something the Watcher would say. That's something the Watcher would say.
We have to talk about him. That guy. We got to talk
Better
about
watch
him.
out. We'll get to him. I guess we talked about him now. I love that the Watcher and Captain Carter were like buds, and she can always just like talk to him like, I know you're listening. Just come here. Come here. But we do
show that they didn't really clarify that till way into it, that she could hear him.
Yeah.
That came out of nowhere for me. I was like, oh, he didn't know that she could hear him, right?
Not really. I guess he didn't know. But like at the end of the first season, which I think William was alluding to, what was cool is that like the Watcher put together a team of, you know, the Guardians of the Multiverse. And it was like people you had seen in different episodes got together for a team up for one final mission. And Captain Carter, I would say it was one of his favorites. So they stay in touch.
What about that chemistry? Am I right? Okay.
I don't know if I could. I think in the first time we did What If Season 1, we put the Watcher into the fuck, marry, kill. I can't handle celestial beings. No, thank you. Too big. Too big to deal with.
Okay. Too much baggage with these celestial beings.
Okay, y'all. It's time for you to meet my new friend. I would like to. This character created for this series, What If. She's never been in the comics, never been in any movies or TV shows. Please welcome Kahhori. She's not on the call. I'm so sorry, listeners. We don't have Kahhori with us. But yeah, this is a brand new indigenous superhero. William Woods, talk to me about it. How did you feel?
Favorite episode of the whole thing. This was like,
yeah.
If you've watched Pocahontas and you're like, this movie pissed me off more than any movie ever, which I think is a lot, you know, it's just like how Disney's great at like getting this visceral thing and has like completely messed up our brains since we watched these movies as kids, like Bambi and all that. And this was like finally watching the Pocahontas that I think we all wanted, where it was just like payback, bitch. You know, it was just, oh my God, it was so brilliant. And it was all in Mohawk and stuff. And then I was like, ooh, what language is this? Oh, Mohawk. And then I was like, wait, did the Spanish invade New York and all that stuff? And I got like so into this, and it was like actually pretty accurate and like just blew my mind. And I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Wow. So wait, that was like New York, where they like the area they were?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They're part of the Iroquois Nation. Yes.
Nice. Katie Visser, this is we call this an origin story in superhero land. So how was it for you? as I say that panderingly.
I deserve to be pandered to at this point.
But like, I guess what I mean, like, this is like a fresh story. There's no backstory to it.
And
You were
I
getting
felt that.
everything. Yeah.
It was definitely one of my favorite episodes because it like for a lot of reasons, but also like, yes, it felt very like a fresh origin story. So I could get right into it. Love Kahhori as a protagonist. Super fun. And love that there was not just payback, but immediate payback in this episode for the bullshit that was happening. It's very cathartic and satisfying when it's like, oh, actually, no, you'll be punished right now for this.
Yeah.
And I was very, very upset that the colonizers were able at all to drop down through the hole into the paradise. Like, I was like, shouldn't they not even be allowed in here at all? Like, but they got theirs in the end. They definitely got what was coming to them for sure. I really liked this. This was a very enjoyable episode, like kind of like as a thing on its own, like as its own, like one whole piece.
Oh yeah.
And I was very caught up in the languages being used, and I noticed a moment where the colonizer is literally like speaking to the Mohawk people in Spanish, like yelling at them in their faces in Spanish, and I'm like, wow, that one little detail summarizes the evils of colonization. It was so infuriating to me, and I was like, yeah, well, that's kind of the whole point.
Yes.
You know?
Also, I just loved really fast. I loved how they see this glowing pool of water, and without knowing a thing about it, they're like, yeah, we found it. The Fountain of Youth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're traveling to find the Fountain of Youth and you find a blue glowing water, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yep.
It's like,
this is it.
This better be it. Glowing water.
Oh, so many satisfying moments in this episode though, like when the captain is like, who wants to be the first to like taste immortality, and they're all getting in the water and they just immediately are all gone. Like, oops.
Yeah.
it's so satisfying. I was gonna say one more thing about the languages and stuff.
Please.
I really appreciated that the people in the paradise community had all been placed there, that they're speaking in their native language. And I think they did a thing with this that I don't see a lot, which is when it is being spoken in a different language, they don't use the slang or colloquialisms or the way people actually talk to each other, the way humans actually talk to each other. And like in this one, they did Kahhori's talking to the guy who, befriended her, and just like, they are saying stuff like come on, man, or like, listen, this is how it is, or whatever. And they're speaking like people talk to each other, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that.
Totally. I think I felt that as well when like Kahhori was running with her little sister, and the sister was like, I need water or to die or something. And she like fell over. Yeah, Kahhori rocks. I love her. I love super speed. I feel like the Flash has just taken ownership of super speed power, so I'm glad to see some justice for that, to spreading that power around. And I just love her, like the little blue swish ness.
Yeah, I feel like she can kind of do a little bit of everything. She goes fast. She can like a little telekinesis in there.
A little telekinesis, a little teleportation.
It's blue power. It's blue crystal powers.
Blue.
Sign me up. I'm good with it.
She could be a new sponsor for Blue Pepsi.
And I want to say that I like that she's got the requirement of a little bit of show offiness that is required of all of these heroes, where I like when they're all like teach they're like, she's new, so she's learning how to gather up the blue crystals, whatever, and they all are like, I got 3, I got 12, and she comes back with just a sky full of them, like holding up in the sky. I like the show offiness too. Like, it's awesome.
It was great. Yes, and my favorite scene though was when she goes to the Queen. Was this the Queen of Spain? And just crushes her throne, and she's like, don't even try to come from us.
The Queen goes, I command you, and I'm like, bitch, that's not gonna do anything right now.
Seriously, these royals, I'm like, when presented with literal magic, she's still like, but my crown.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of crowns, our next one, I I am totally fine to skim through this.
Speaking of crowns, oh my god, that was so good.
I know, my best transition, but I do think I want to gloss over it. This is Hela and the Ten Rings. It 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 was fine.
What a brat.
Which one? Hela?
Hela. Yeah, she's such
Yeah.
a brat. Oh my god, so entitled. I mean, I get it. You're freaking Asgardian,
Royalty. The firstborn of
royalty.
the Asgard throne, and her father did raise her to be a killing machine and then got scared of her and threw her away
And she's
like
just
a
like,
man.
the entire time. And I'm like, oh my god, please don't give her the 10 rings. Please don't. I don't know what this guy sees in her, but don't give her the 10 rings. My god, please don't give her the 10 rings.
Well, she didn't get the 10 rings, but she got inner peace. And that man, that was Shang-Chi's father. I'm not crazy, right? That was his father.
Yep.
I'm gonna say it with authority. That was Shang-Chi's father. And it was interesting. Basically, it was like, what if Hela got the Thor treatment? Because this is what happened to Thor in Thor Part 1. He got banished to Earth for his arrogance. And yeah, she would have been a better person. So it's like, why wasn't Odin sending all his children to Earth? Like Hela, Loki, Thor. He only sent one to Earth, and he became a hero. Everyone else became a villain. Like, just send them to Earth. God, Odin, you're so stupid. Sorry.
He was stupid in this too. Odin was dumb as a doornail in this. I was like, oh my, or is it dead as a doornail? Well, he was dumb as one too.
I think doornails are dumb. I'm not afraid to say it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I like all the patience that they all had for her and everything, but good grief. This one was up there as much for me. It was probably just as boring as the Death Race one.
Yeah, I think you mean down there.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you're both finding it that you both found it to be so boring, because I really had a hard time. I had a hard time just like caring about this, like paying attention, and because it felt like, oh, this feels formulaic. Like, yep, we've seen this story to me, and I was like, okay, got it, copy that. So I'm glad that that wasn't just my lack of knowledge, that you also found it to be that way.
Oh yeah, fully. And I think for me the issue was Hela the character was so great, played by Kate Blanchett in the third Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok. If you haven't seen it, Katie, I'd say watch it. It's very funny. But
Okay.
she was great because she was a villain, and I think this tried to make her noble. And I just think some villains are beyond that, and she was just a pure evil person. Like, she was like a Disney princess villain level, I would say. And I think it kind of robbed the character to try and like redeem her. And that's how I feel.
God, that's so, yeah, no, I think that is like right on the money, because it's just I mean, especially in a 30-minute episode, the redemption nothing felt good about this. And everything just felt like crap. It just felt like crap. Big old crap.
And you know what they have, you know where there's a lot of crap? 1602, because there's no plumbing. Avengers.
Nice.
Thank you. 1602. I was happy to see Wanda, and I don't know, this one was weird. This one was like a psychedelic trip for me. It took me a while to get what was happening. I'm going to return to Katie Visser. Can you please explain the 1602 episode? I can tell it was your favorite.
You got it, Katie. Let's go.
Everyone, Katie Visser's favorite year is 1602. I don't know if we all know this.
Brilliant year full of the kings and queens.
Katie's always saying it's never been better than 1602.
Just full of plagues, and all of the theater was outdoors, which is fun. Lots of plagues. Okay, so I had trouble. Like, this was very fun because I was like, oh, we're moving to a different time period. That's very exciting. But I had trouble following the story for this one. I wrote down pressure is on for Peggy.
For sure.
And then and William's not gonna like this. And I wrote down Stark is always the funny one.
Oh no, he was.
Because Stark is always the funny one.
It's the funny one. And I said, but this is Tony, gathering that there are a lot of Starks, question mark.
But
there's more
and
than
also
one.
I want to give flowers to whoever this voice actor was who was doing Tony Stark, because like I knew it wasn't Robert Downey Jr., but like it was very close.
Sounded like him, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this episode, it's an interesting idea. I think they're basically saying that like when Captain America went to go fight Thanos and Avengers of Infinity War, he hit the time stone and kind of merged what I guess would be 2018 with 1602. And now the time periods are laying on top of each other, which is a
And
nice.
he's Robin Hood.
And now he's Robin Hood, which honestly, as a Doctor Who fan, I like. I was like, this would happen on Doctor Who. I feel like this has happened on Doctor Who. So that was cool. And again, I mean, I think we covered a lot of ground with this one of like, it all comes down to the Peggy Steve conundrum of like, he's the future. What was the word they kept saying? The futurist.
Nightshade, or they gave it a weird name where they were like, he
Nightshade.
can't be here. He's the Nightshade or the future Nightshade.
Future Nightshade of America.
I don't know why I'm saying Nightshade, but
I don't either. I think that's the furthest from what it actually is. But if I'm honest, but he's the one. They figure it out. They course correct everything. But then Peggy, she gets stuck in the past. She's stuck in 1602.
And she's okay with it too. That's the thing. She's like, this is pretty good.
Time for a break. That's my Peggy Carter.
Wow.
Then wouldn't you know it, slithering Doctor Strange Supreme. I don't trust this man, and I don't want to show my hand for what's going to happen at the end of this episode for us. But like,
you've seen season 1, you already know this is a bad Doctor Who. We know this is the bad one. He's got
bad
the dark
Doctor
eyes.
Strange, please.
Yeah.
I think you know
Did
you
I say
can't.
Doctor Who?
You did say Doctor Who, and I was like,
Whoops.
not my doctor.
Doctor Strange. Yeah, no, never your doctor. Sorry, Damon.
I think
Thank you.
you can't trust him because he gives her a whiskey like 300 years before it's popular, and she's so excited about it. I'm like, don't drink that. Oops.
Never drink a drink someone materialized, especially a man.
Also, yeah, and also this was another moment where I was like, really, would Captain Carter, because she was like really into that. She was like, oh, thank you, like, you know me so well. And I'm like, that drink, you know, that shit tastes bad. Like, you know, one sip of that, whatever he's explaining is like, because I've only had scotch like maybe a couple times, maybe like twice, and every time I'm like, what the fudge?
Oh well,
is
some of
this?
us are scotch sippers, and it can be real good.
Sounds like the Scotch War is going to continue.
It's not that I have anything against it, but at the same time, when that just pops up out of nowhere, I'm not going to be like Captain Carter and be like, oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, our girl Carter drank the drink, and she went on the mission, and she was like, I'll absolutely help you, Stephen Strange. You can't have any bad intentions.
That's a different Carter from the last Carter you did.
Sounds the same to me. And then Captain Carter meets Kahhori, and Kahhori is like, girl, I speak English now, and also you've been tricked. You've been tricked. There's no time. Like when I saw her, I was like, oh, is there gonna be a whole thing where she like Captain Carter's like, okay, how do I speak Mohawk? Like, no, we're just gonna skip all that. We're all English speakers now. Yes. We only have 30 minutes to wrap up the season, so let's get to it.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about this last episode?
I loved it. It was pure chaos, and I at the same time I felt like it was like, hey, let's wrap it up. The final 2 episodes are truly my favorite. Together, but if I had to do a standalone episode, it's going to be Kahhori's. And so for me, I like those, and I felt like the pacing was good. I felt like the story was good. I think Captain Carter should have known better than what she got herself into, but hey, episode's gotta do its thing. And also the little fun part where all of the people are falling into the forge, and then they go back up, and then they fall again. I just thought that was hilarious because
that was exciting.
Yeah.
So
incredible. So then gets wrapped. It works out. Love that we got to see a little bit of Killmonger with the stones, and then Captain Carter gets the stones, and she's in the Infinity Gauntlet suit. And then, that was my favorite part was like when all those people were falling, they were like throwing all their gadgets and their stuff, like use this, use my crown, please.
Yes,
use my hammer.
And they do.
And again, as like a Marvel obsessive, I think I could say at this point, it was just so satisfying. Like, that's the hammer, that's Hela's crown, those are knives. Just recognizing all the bits
Yes.
from different projects.
I loved that moment, and I was thinking when they were doing that, because it was like very obviously it was life and death situation, super intense, and I was just going, "Oh, they gave them their things." Like I was like, "Oh, so sweet." Like it was very heartfelt.
Yeah. So they save the day. They manage to kill the Strange Supreme, but he still manages to reset his own universe, but he has reset it where he does not exist.
Good riddance.
And thankfully, Christine, who, Katie, I don't know if you know this, played by Rachel McAdams, Christine is able to live a peaceful life without Doctor Strange, which I wish that for all of us. I wish a strangeless life for everyone.
I want to know when there's a good moment to talk about the very last line of dialogue in this show, because I need to talk.
Now is the perfect time.
Great. I need to talk about the fact that Peggy says, "Okay, let's go back, but can we take the scenic route?" And the Watcher says, "Oh, Captain, just you watch." And I exploded. I was like, "What?" I feel like I'm supposed to hate that line. Like it just was too on the nose. Like,
because he's the Watcher.
He's the Watcher. He goes, "Just you watch." Music. It was like it was so. It felt like something I would like do in a script, and I would want to do because it's very like wraps it all up. But it also felt super cheesy. Like I was struck by it.
It does feel like something that like the person that wrote it fought for that. They fought in the room. They were like, "No, I will die by this line," and I'm happy it stuck.
I like to think that the writers' room was like they were so hungry and lunch was coming, and the writer was like, "We're not getting lunch until you approve this line," and so they were like, "Fine, put it in. Let's just eat our Chipotle." Lovely. So that was the last line of the episode, but not the last line of this podcast, because the last line that we draw in the sand on this podcast is who you fucking, who you marrying, who you killing. Fuck, marry, kill. The first fuck, marry, kill of 2024. Oh, we're doing it, baby. Woo! Oh, I love this. I love this part. I love this part so much. Oh my God.
Wow.
Thank you. That's the official theme song for Fuck, Marry, Kill. So on the docket today, we've got Captain Carter, because how could we not? Kahhori, our newest superhero, and finally Strange Supreme. I will go first to give my guests time to think. You know what? It's not going to go the way you think. I'm going to kill Captain Carter. Sorry.
Oh, whoa.
Sorry, I didn't sign up for a Captain Carter show. If I wanted, I would watch the TV show Agent Carter that ran for 2 seasons that did co-star Chad Michael Murray.
Whoa.
So that's a live action show all about Agent Carter. No superpowers, just her as a SHIELD agent. But Captain Carter, I don't know. I think she should have gone home several times over. The Watcher kept telling her to go home. He doesn't listen to instructions. Why would she listen to me? I'm killing her. She's off the board. I'm going to fuck. I'm going to fuck evil Doctor Strange.
I saw that coming.
That is going to be a wild time, especially when he like has the 2 devil heads in his regular head and like the wings and the horns. I'm like, for one night, show me what you're working with, Doctor Strange. I want to see. And then I'm going to marry Kahhori because, she's a little nightlight to have around. If I have to wake up in the middle of the night and need to go to the bathroom, we're like, Kahhori, light up. She's like, fine. And then she'll glow blue and I'll find the bathroom. So those are my picks. And I think they're right. But you know what? Those are just my answers. Let's go to our most seniored guest, Katie Visser, please. For the 3rd time, who are your fuck, marry, kill picks?
Right. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to turn over a new leaf and do things differently than I've done in my own romantic history. Okay.
Katie, would you say perhaps this is your what if moment?
This is my what if moment. Oh, thank you. Yes, it is. Thank you. I'm very excited. So I'm gonna do what I should have done long ago. I will fuck Peggy and I won't marry her. I refuse. I won't do it this time.
This time?
Let me explain. I just feel like Peggy is the person that I would always have selected for the marry category, and to my own detriment. Because really the smarter decision would be to obviously marry Kahhori. That would be I think it would be a much better marriage. And Peggy gets hung up on stuff. It's not good. So will I fuck her? 100% yes. Absolutely yes. That will be happening. You try and stop me. And
I won't.
and then Kahhori, very excited to marry. That I think it will be lovely. And I will to use a very famous line from Alan Rickman in a very different type of movie in Sense and Sensibility, because I'm a Jane Austen nerd and I should have a podcast on that. I will endeavor to deserve her, to deserve Kahhori. That's a pretty high caliber spouse. I'm just saying.
I just want to interrupt real quick and say I had no idea we would talk about 3 different Alan Rickman parts on this one podcast. Right? I think we talked about Die Hard, Harry Potter, and Sense and Sensibility. Anyway, continue.
He's everywhere.
So I will endeavor to deserve the marriage with Kahhori. I will definitely fuck Peggy. I've gotta. And then kill Strange, because I wasn't paying any attention to him anyway. I don't care.
There it is. William Woods, wrap this up for us, please.
I've thought so long and hard about this. It's really not an easy decision, as you know. And so obviously I'm going to be killing Strange Supreme. Way too evil, way too personally, just like he gives me the ick. You know what I mean? As the kids say.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I would love to marry Kahhori, but I just don't think that it's an option for what's best. Because, well, one, I really liked, I think his name was Atrox. Aderox.
Oh, yeah. Aderox? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That they're going to be great together. And I feel like they both got the crazy good powers and they can accomplish amazing things, especially for the Mohawk tribe. And to insert myself like Dances of Wolves style, I'm not comfortable with it. But I would love a little screw. I would love a little screw and see what that's like. Because I know that she would just dazzle my world and I would love it. So I am going to marry Captain Carter. Me and Peggy are going to have a wonderful life together, and I'm going to support her in ways that Steve Rogers never would have. And I'm going to, despite the fact that she'll be longing for his love forever and ever, as Marvel wants it to be, I will still make sure to support her in all the best ways possible. And and with that relationship, we're probably going to have amazing sex too. I mean, I just think it's going to happen. All that testosterone she's got going, my God.
Whew. All the testosterone she has from the super soldier. Absolutely.
Yeah. Not me. No, not me.
Never will.
I wish, but honestly, I'm getting fed so many of those like, hey, you should probably take testosterone things. And I'm like, I don't know. Is that reliving puberty? Because that was a scary time for, I think, everybody. You know what I'm talking about, Damon? You get those. Do you, Michael? Well, honestly, Katie, do you get these too? Do you get those like sponsored ads on social media that are like, hey, do you feel sluggish and tired all the time? You should take testosterone.
I have not.
I can't remember if I have. Always good to check in with William Woods. I really like how we each, especially this was such a Captain Carter heavy season. I liked how we each. There's one gonna marry, one gonna fuck, and I'll kill her. Thank you, everybody, so much. This is a great first episode.
Thank you.
Let's run the socials. Katie Visser, hit me with your social media, and also where can we find the nonfiction show?
Yes, you can find me on Insta by my name at Katie L. Visser and Visser. And then please follow the nonfiction show and come see us. We are third Saturdays of the month. And this month we will be at the Ledge Theater, which I'm very excited about. You can find us at _nonfiction show.
Lovely. William Woods, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm most active on the gram. So WolfLord5000. I love posting little funny videos and pictures of my bike all the time. So follow me there and follow my little podcast, Certified Cinephiles, on the gram as well.
I love it. I do love your videos with Stanley. Very funny.
Thanks, Dan.
You can follow this podcast at Podcast 616 P3. That P3 stands for Press Play Podcast, which is the podcasting network that allows me to talk about what if. God, can you imagine what if they didn't? Producer Michael, do you want to hop on the mic real quick and give the letter grade for this podcast that we just did?
I got to start it out with an A. We got to start the year off with an A. Season 3.
Woo! Say that. Yes. Woo! Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, William. Thank you to the animators and creators of What If. It truly was a visual feast, if not a literary conundrum occasionally some of the times. This podcast 616, we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about Black Widow because we haven't, and it's time to talk about her. So everybody keep it sexy in 2024, and remember that with great power comes even greater responsibility.